I think enough is enough.
This has been a year of a lot of change. I've worked really hard to be better about documenting my weight loss journey on YouTube. I've gotten more consistent with my diet. I've been a lot better about making an intentional effort to spend more quality time and be invested in the relationships with my husband, my friends, my family, and of course, my loved ones, whether that be the cat or a possessed chair. If you know, you know. I'm also really proud of myself because I've made a much stronger effort to move my body in any way I can. I've played games, I've gardened, I've gone on hikes with my husband. I learned how to roller skate with him, which then quickly progressed to learning how to ice skate, even if I did break my wrist. And I've even built the habit of going to the gym 3 times a week to do all kinds of strength training. I actually ended up discovering that I love the gym, which is something I never thought I'd say. I even have little bitty baby muscles. And yes, I know you gotta look real hard for them, but I promise they're there. Even though I'm still fat, I've actually learned to love my body. But the one thing that hasn't changed is the scale. Every time I lose weight, I seem to gain the same weight back within a month. Over and over and over again. All right, y'all, we gotta have a talkie talk. When I started this channel, one of the main things I wanted was to have the accountability. But the other thing is, I wanted to make sure that whatever videos I put out, I was making sure to be completely transparent with how I'm feeling, whether that's good or like a sack of crap, and with everything I'm doing for weight loss. So I just kind of want to give y'all some updates with the barrage of doctor's appointments that I've had this month and what happened with them. When I weighed myself this morning, I basically was like, I am done. I am done putting in like 2% effort to lose weight and feeling like it's 100%. I need to actually just do the dang thing. So I only have to lose it once rather than continuing the cycle that is stressful as frick of constantly losing and gaining and losing and gaining the same 5 to 10 pounds. I am done with it. So I have changed what I am doing to lose weight. So basically, I want to get to the point where I can do everything in moderation, but as I am a sugar addict, I don't know how well that's going to work. And at the very least, I drastically need to cut back because your girl has been going wild. So what I have set for myself as a rule is I can have sugar if I want to, but for every single serving size I have of dessert, I have to wait a day before I can have more dessert. So let's say hypothetically, I have 3 different desserts in one day. That means I'm going to have to wait 3 more days before I can have any dessert at all. The reason I'm giving myself this kind of odd rule is because I'm trying to slow down my struggles with impulse control. I'm trying to get that voice in my head to say, hey, slow down. Do you want to make this your dessert or do you want to maybe have something better later instead of just immediately stuffing my face with whatever it was and regretting it? Just a heads up for anybody out there who does struggle with disordered eating, because this particular weight loss tip does have a very specific structure to it. This might not be the tip for you. Please make sure to check with your therapist that this is something that makes sense for your personal journey. Because I know we're all a little bit different on our journeys, even if we do have the same goal of weight loss. Today is the first day of trying this. I actually have not had any dessert today. I know myself, and I know that anytime I set up like a rule like this, my biggest struggle then is that I go for everything carby. So I have definitely had like sugary cereal today. I had an extra bagel that I probably didn't need. It is not a perfect system, but today is the first day in literal months where I haven't had actual dessert, and that's a pretty good start. It's also the first time I've felt motivated at all in the last few weeks, which is wonderful because I was struggle bussing. The reason that I was finally able to get to the point where I could consider cutting down my quantity of desserts is because I had spent the entire month before working with my therapist to decrease my stress and instead focus on what I could add in to my life that would be beneficial. So I focused on adding in fruits and veggies, which I sent her pictures of on the daily. Sometimes I didn't remember until the end of the plate when there was just scraps left, but it helped having that accountability, and it was easier to focus on what I could add to benefit my diet instead of take out. And I also focused on self-care because that is just as important for decreasing your stress and anxiety levels. Now, although I was feeling better, adding in all the fruits and veggies and doing a really good job with self-care, there was a giant kink in my plans, and that was that I unfortunately had to have surgery on my foot. While recovering from surgery, I did a really good job of staying proactive with trying to eat right and send pictures of everything that was an add in, like those fruits and veggies, to my therapist. But I also was having to spend a lot of time in bed recovering, which the cats, of course, loved. And if I wasn't in bed, I was having to get around with a knee scooter, so it was a lot harder. So while I was home, I was trying to at least be proactive with doing things that would be beneficial, like taking the time to crochet as many scarves as I could to eventually donate. I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and they basically did a stop motion video where the guy dove into the bed, but it looked like he was diving into a pool. And it was the coolest thing ever. And I kind of want to learn how to do stop motion now. So, we are doing some research. I can't wait. Now, as much as I love to hang out with the little furballs and watch them absolutely massacre every scrunchie known to mankind, there is only so much scooting around the house a person can take before they completely lose their marbles. So I was super ecstatic when I finally healed enough to at least get back to the gym with some modified workouts. It was definitely a humbling experience to see how much strength I'd lost just in the time while I was recovering, but I tried not to focus on that and to instead focus on the fact that I had the opportunity to try to be stronger. I also shifted my focus a little bit with my diet. I felt stable in the sense of able to consistently have fruits and veggies, but I wanted to focus more on just cooking at home as a whole and practicing making some meals. So I started sending pictures of the meals I cooked to my therapist rather than just the add-ins. It was nice to feel like I was at least making some progress in the right direction. It was finally time to get my stitches out. I was absolutely terrified because I've never had stitches in my body ever before. It's your final warning. Do 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 do. My foot looks freaking weird. We've got like the leftover iodine and then like the leftover bruising here, and it's all like fat. But she got the stitches out and already put some ointment on it. I am back from the podiatrist's office. Bless the lady who oh, sorry, Nuggie. I just squished my cat. He's like, what the heck, Mom? You disrupted my slumber. My bad. So I was just going to say, bless the lady who took out those stitches. I've never had any stitches, sutures, anything like that in my entire life. So I was so nervous that it was going to hurt. But actually, it was like the tiniest of twinges. It was not bad at all. So I'm like, whew, okay, one thing totally done with. I had been given a new boot because mine was flat to walk in and cleared to do very, very short distances of walking. I have not actually tried to walk yet. I basically can still use my knee scooter for longer distances, so I just kind of hopped on that and left. But I want to try and take a step now because honestly, I'm scared. I haven't walked in 2 weeks, and my surgeon did tell me that, hey, it is still going to hurt to walk, but I'm honestly just kind of scared for how bad it's going to hurt because I don't handle pain well. In my head, I'm still like, what if it didn't work? So every time I get pain, I know my brain is going to automatically go, oh, you're still never going to be able to walk without pain again, as opposed to my brain connecting the dots and being like, yo, we're healing. So I'm anxious. So I'm just going to suck it up and take some steps. I hope. Okay. I'm really uneven anyways because this boot is tall. Doesn't feel great. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Nope. I think I might be using a crutch while my foot gets used to this. This is frustrating. I also really need to try this with a tennis shoe on so I'm semi-even.
The next day.
Do y'all ever have one of those days where you're like, I am just completely losing my crap. I feel like I'm 5 seconds away from just like a mental breakdown and want to sob profusely. And then it turns out maybe you're just hungry. That was me on the way home. Since last night, I've been super frustrated. Like, I tried to take my first steps since this whole freaking surgery, couldn't take a single one. It just was not working. My foot's not ready yet. And I'm so frustrated because in my head, I thought that I was gonna, wake up this morning, go to my appointment for my occupational therapy because I'm still working on my wrist, and then come home, do some work in the garden. Finally, I've been waiting weeks, and just kind of start going about my day slowly. And realizing that I am still basically trapped with this knee scooter and still can't walk just kind of did a number on me. I was driving home from my appointment. I knew that I needed to go to the gym, but instead, all I wanted to do was straight up binge. I really just wanted to go wild. And the whole drive home, I was fighting with myself because one, I was like, I need to just cry profusely and get it out. I was able to at least recognize that I am very, very sleep deprived, and that probably is affecting my ability to make good, healthy decisions. But I was like, I just want to cry it out, and I just want to binge, and I hate my entire life. I was being a little dramatic.
Do you think?
But it's also really hard to deal with the fact that I'm currently very disabled compared to where I was 2 years ago, and it's really disheartening. And I'm trying to remind myself that, yes, the whole thing is probably not temporary. Like, I'm not going to magically go back to just being like, I can hike super easy. Yes, I will eventually be able to walk again. I will eventually be able to put some weight on my freaking wrist. I need to calm down. But I actually managed to get past the McDonald's. Truth be told, if I hadn't had to do a U-turn to get to it, I probably would have not made it past McDonald's. And then I pulled in the driveway and I was like, okay, I have an ice cream cone in the fridge. Maybe I can get that. I have some fudge in the freezer. Maybe I can have those and they'll make me feel better. And I was able to stop and just be like, you feel like crap right now. Like, this is where self-talk is really important, and getting your anxiety levels down low enough to be able to have that conversation matters. But I was like, no, you haven't had your lunch yet. This is supposed to be your skip day for dessert. But I was like, I want all the dessert. So I had a war with myself, but I made it inside and was like, you are going to eat your flipping lunch first. And then if you're still dying for dessert, we're going to address it then. So I had my lunch. I was just like, okay, I think I'm good for now. Let me calm the frick down. And then I realized I no longer feel like sobbing profusely. I definitely still need a nap. I definitely still need to go to the gym, but my life is not over. I'm just healing and I need to give myself some grace.
She gets a little grumpy when she's hungry.
This is really hard, and I don't like how hard this is, but I'm trying to be positive. But the reality is, I have not been very positive lately. I have been just the biggest negative Nelly, negative Nancy, whatever the heck you want to call it in the world. I was like, I'm not going to go on YouTube and whine. I'm just going to tell them how it is and try to put a positive spin on it simply because I need to do that for myself. We're going to get through this, bit by bit. Guess who made it through the entire day without binging or even having a dessert? Me! I am very excited. I do feel like I am in a better headspace. I really just kind of needed a break and needed to focus on something that would actually make me feel accomplished, which, as it turns out, was taking a long time to finally edit my video about the surgery, which you guys saw well before this, but I'm proud of myself for getting it done. I also wanted to tell you guys, because in the flurry of everything, I completely forgot. I officially have the diagnosis for lipedema, which is basically the irregular fat distribution and swelling in my legs. It's not that I'm happy to have lipedema, I'm just happy to finally actually have the diagnosis, because I already knew I had lipedema. You guys have mentioned it tons of times in my videos. For those of you who have it, they're like, hey, your legs look like mine. I'm like, I know! Because I learned about it in PT school. I just took forever to be able to see an actual doctor who knew what it was. But I finally have the diagnosis, which means I can finally get treatment for it, and hopefully my legs will be in better condition coming soon. I'm just glad I feel better. While I would love to say I was finally able to take my steps the next day, the reality was I was not able to start walking until 3.5 weeks after surgery, which did mean I had a lot more time resting in bed, which the cats, of course, still loved. And I tried to be proactive, so I finished my scarf. But unfortunately, all that extra time spent recovering meant that the scale started moving up again, and I was so frustrated. I've been struggling really hard with my weight. I've been struggling really hard with paying attention. Everything has just kind of come to a hilt. And because of my weight and my age, I'm 35, I'm becoming very aware of the fact that, yes, I need to lose the weight, but just doing it incredibly slowly, like this last 2-year battle where I'm basically losing and gaining the same 10 pounds, it's not working for me long term because there's other stuff going on. I'm having issues with my veins simply because my body is bigger and they are struggling to do everything. So I'm having to address that. Lipedema does affect, well, how well I can fit into boots, but it does affect how well I can move. And if it gets more severe, it can cause pretty significant pain in your joints and just your legs in general. One of the main ways to treat that is with diet and exercise, and weight loss makes a huge difference.
It does?
Yeah.
After having my surgery, because I had plantar fasciitis and a bone spur that were so bad they needed surgery, it's ridiculous. One of the biggest aggravating factors for that is my weight. And while I'm trying to heal, not only is it harder to lose weight, but it's more important that I don't weigh as much, because that is a lot of pressure on an already banged up foot. Talked it over with my doctor. I'm finally, for the first time in my life, medicated for ADHD. Took the first dose today. I literally almost cried at how different my brain felt. I actually felt like I could focus without feeling guilty or anxious about 900 other things at once. So that's a huge change for me, and it's amazing. And here's the biggest one. At the beginning of this year, I talked with my doctor about my weight loss struggles. This is right around the time when all of the like semaglutide, GLP-1 weight loss drugs, basically around the time where all those drugs really like got popular. He had recommended it to me because I've been struggling with my weight for so long. I know that it's a tool for weight loss. I also know that it's something I don't want to be on forever, and that if I get off it, I still have to make sure to address the issues that made me fat in the first place, which is my sugar addiction to a T. I feel like I have made huge strides this year in terms of making a healthier relationship with my body and with food. I routinely work out 3 days a week now. I have more muscle than I ever have. And the thing that's worked the most for me is I finally have my overindulgence with sugar in check. It's helping a lot because it lets me slow down and actually enjoy the dessert because I stop to think about it. The problem is I still have a ton of weight on my body and I'm not 23 anymore. It's harder to lose weight, not impossible, not an excuse. I'm just saying realistically, this is what I'm struggling with. And I want to keep continuing in the direction where I'm making healthier choices. But I do feel like, especially due to my vein issues, the lipedema, and me struggling to recover from surgery, I need to do something else to move things along. I talked to my doctor at the beginning of the year about going on those weight loss medications, and he thought it was a good idea. We had kind of talked it over. I told him my reservations, and we kind of made the agreement where it was like, okay, we're going to take about a year, and I'm going to see if I can actually get this weight off the way I want to do it, to where I can get to a point where I feel healthy. While I did get to the point where I feel balanced comparatively, I am still nowhere near where I need to be with weight loss, and it is concerning because of the stress that it's putting on my body. I also have a weird mental block with it because in my head, if I'm not doing it naturally without going on a specific diet, not keto, not weight loss surgery, not injections, I feel like I'm cheating, which is BS. And before y'all rage in the comments, I don't actually think this about any other person who tries those things.
Wait, isn't that a double standard?
For me, if someone else tries it, I'm like, oh, that's totally logical. They're using whatever tools they need to get to a healthy weight and live a healthy and hopefully long, happy life. But for some reason, when it's me, my brain's like, oh, that's cheating. That makes absolutely no sense. And I talked to my doctor about it because I was like, I have a mental block. I'm struggling. I genuinely need another person's opinion on this because I feel like I'm getting stuck on my own mental block. And he basically said the same thing in the sense of all the stress that's on your body right now with the age you are at, it's a lot more important to get that weight off and then continue your plan of care to where we figure out what works for you to keep it off, rather than fighting for years to get it off. Even if the years would be my way and I'd eventually get there, because I know I will get there. I am stubborn, but it's a lot more important for me to get there in a reasonable time frame. So all of those updates, sorry, this is really long. All of those updates just to say that my doctor put in a prescription for me to start on Zepbound, which is one of the weight loss drugs. I'm definitely feeling very anxious about it. So if you guys want to be supportive in the comments, I would really appreciate that because I know that I'm ultimately doing this for my health and so I can freaking walk and not fall apart. I want to use this as a tool. So I'm pairing this with diet and exercise, and I'm going to do my very best, especially since I'm off of work right now and can't work because of my foot. I have all the time in the world to put towards my diet. So I'm going to keep working very, very hard at that and just kind of go from there. So if any of you guys have tried weight loss medications, I would love to hear your opinions down below. If they're not for you, that's totally fine. I'm doing what works for me. And I'm trying to be positive about it. I'm just frustrated because I wanted to already have like 100 pounds off and I'm not there. But yeah, that's where I'm at.